Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Listen, it is only 3:05 and I'm doing the recap. It's not 4 o'clock. There's another hour left of trading, but I have to leave early, so I figured I'd want to get a quick little recap in, even though there's time left to trade. So the closing prices will be a little bit different. Anyway, came in today with multiple longs, 6, 7, 8, 9 longs because tech acted well yesterday. And then today, with a little bit of a down open, the S&P had a nice push through that 2484. The spiders pushed above 248, did a squeeze, and then all of a sudden midday, a little bit of the air got let out, a little bit of a rug pull. So right around 1 o'clock, I just said, hey, listen, I've been tweeting at you guys all day about me selling into strength and closing out some positions with whatever you have left over. Just take a little care just in case this early morning or first half a day squeeze through some key levels doesn't turn out into being a big topping tail or one of those days where you have to clean up loose longs and give things more time before they set up again. Well, not saying that's happened, but as of 3:05, the S&P pushed above 2484 and is now back below 2480. Spiders pushed above 2248 and now is down to like 247.75. So let's just go to some of the charts. You go here, you'll see not the end of the world, and you still have some time left. It could be a doji or whatnot, but at this point, you know, it pushed above here, created a topping tail, and now we'll see whether or not this gets extreme into the end of the day. I'll go over more tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. So at this point, you know, pushed through this level and couldn't hold it. We'll see what happens, I guess, by the close right now. If you look here, it's only, 309. The spiders, this thing is not catching up. It's now at 247.90. Okay, this too pushed above 248, gave some guys a really nice trade, actually. Why did they give it a nice trade? Because it happened fast. If you were waiting for this 248 to get taken out, you could have been a buyer of a lot of spiders and made yourself 70, 80 cents if you sold into strength. This has also been acting very well, but now we're waiting to see, do you get some kind of topping tail? You go to the 5-minute chart, you'll see when that push happened. Okay, it happened right here. Look at that. That's your 248. Boom, you could have bought all you wanted and had a first push up to 248.30 and then into 248.85-ish before you had a 5-minute topping tail, and then never reclaimed here, and then all of a sudden this trend broke and that was your way out. And now it seems like it's just working its way lower, back below this for now. So to take a little care. The Qs also had a push, okay? Not falling as fast, but this is, I would think, is somewhat of a key level for the last hour of trade right around here. If we start to go up again, there's your descending channel here. But this also opened up lower, gave you a nice push here at 1035, came up sideways, and that was at 1030 to 1115, powerful move, and that probably coincided with Apple. So if you've been following me and you're part of the Redler All Access, or even Fast Money, this and that, my number one play in the last week's been Apple. Apple had a gap up after earnings, held the gap, and then started to trade to the upside. So I am in smaller Apple, obviously, than I've had the last few days. Question is, does it hold here? Okay, I'd love to see it hold here. I'm still in some. This was your earnings gap that it held. Here is yesterday's chart. I said let's add if it gets above this spot. It did. And now here you are. It also gave you an extra trade above the post-earnings pivot, which is a spot to buy more because that's where shorts get squeezed and you get a push. And not only did it get above that, it got above that with $1 and change. So now I'm still in some. I'm in small. You go to your 5-minute chart to see where Apple is right now. It's hanging in there. I would just be a little bit careful, because if the market starts to fall and they really want to, they want to, make this thing really fail, they'll probably need Apple to get back below this spot here. This spot here is like 60.60. So if you're really, really tight, that should be your stop. If you want to give it to yesterday's or the pivot high, that's 159.75. So I would at least, get out of some there, and this was this spot to get in more. I know I came along, I bought here and I bought there, and then I just sold the whole way up and bought a little bit back versus this spot, so we'll see if it holds into the end of the day. I also came in long NVIDIA because it broke above 170 and I was out of it pre-market. I'm like, it's up $1.50, earnings Thursday, I don't want to deal with it. That actually was a good sale. NVIDIA opened up and came in. Okay, at this point, we'll see what happens. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Not the end of the world, but I figured, hey, this is, held a 21-day, got above it, sold some strength, it hung in there. No real pattern here, so I'm not going to do anything overnight there. Tesla was also another good overnight. I got long this thing here. Okay, the day that it held at 343, it became a really nice trade above 350. And then yesterday gave you an inside day, and then today took out yesterday's high, and that's how you trade Tesla. You don't look at the Wall Street Journal, conservative stories or whatever they have on there. You don't listen to the bear cases, you listen to the price action. Held 343, took off. That's how you make money in Tesla, not by listening to the analyst or whoever. But we'll see what happens next. Amazon, a little weaker. I was in it overnight. Thank goodness I didn't get stopped out. Why didn't I get stopped out? Because I had my stop at this prior low here, and it didn't get taken out. But I'm not in it now. It's not really doing much as the market's doing a lot. It's below the moving averages, so it's one of those time frames when you have to be a little bit careful with Amazon. Same thing with Google. Google is lagging. It's nothing special. It did a little better today than it did yesterday, but still below the 8-day, below the 21-day, below the 50-day. Yes, some are long versus here, but just I would take a little bit of care. It failed after earnings, and now it's just in this big channel, and there's nothing much going on here in Google or Amazon. Facebook is a little bit better. Today it's taking the day off, but still, your calculated trade was here, versus that, and then when it took this out and still hung above it, so with time it could work its way higher. Netflix was actually a little weaker today. Let's see what it did. Nothing special. If you're long it, just make sure that you have your stop here or even here, depending on how you want to do it. It doesn't really turn on to a trade unless it gets above there with some authority. Goldman Sachs on day 3 reversed. Looks like a little bit of a topping tail here. Not the end of the world, but you know what? It shows you that maybe it needs a rest. Here was your day to buy it. There was your day to add to it. You had a good follow through today, and now it's closing near low, so maybe you need some time to come back and retest this 230 area. Bank of America, I bought it and sold some into that 230 area or 25.30. Now you have a bit of a topping tail. Does that mean that the move's over? It just means, I guess, you better be a little bit more careful because topping tails lead to a little bit of a little bit more downside. Still above this accelerated trend, still looks okay, but these things came in a little bit today, and typically you like when they go out stronger, not weaker. But I'm in some, and my stop actually is a little bit lower than this. It's below this prior low here of 24.90. I did sell some strength, so it's not the end of the world to hold some. This isn't updating as fast. Let me just see where Apple is right now, because I think that's going to be the last little piece of this puzzle on whether or not the market really accelerates to the downside. 160.95, and where are the spiders right now as of 3:15, because this is a little slower. Spiders are 247.69, so they're 30 cents below that 248. So if you use 248 as a stop, you know what? You saved yourself some money. Now you get to see what's next. If you even saw that first move lower, some guys were shorting that bounce and looking for a topping tail. There are two sides of the coin. You can look for strong stocks, or you look to short versus pivot points, however you want to do it. To me, at lunchtime, if you look at the Twitter feed, I was like, that was a pretty harsh down move after a big squeeze in the first part of the day. Let's just be a little bit careful. I know we sold some strength. Let's just not get caught buying into something that doesn't bounce, because we'll give it back everything we made, for that prior breakout above the pivot. So again, 45 minutes left. We see how we close. But whenever you're in new all-time highs on low volume with the low VIX, you have to be a little careful of a rug pull, especially considering that earnings season is almost over. You're hearing some news about, North Korea that could put a nuke on a missile, and then you have Dunlap saying, we could fall 3%. You mix all that together on light volume, and they could push the market around. So you want to make sure, what your level is and what your time frame is. At this point, I will probably be lighter overnight than I was last night. We had some good trades as far as trading out of positions into strength, and now I'm sitting in some feelers, probably less than a tier 1 to see whether it continues. But if all of a sudden we get a little bit more of a pull-in and those candles turn red and those topping tails look a little bit more apparent, I'll probably be closer to flat, but I'll tweet that to you guys probably after you watch this later. But I'll tweet it to you by 3:55ish. I've been letting you guys know what I'm taking overnight. I've been doing a snapshot of the VTF, which I won't be in for, but I'll let you know. I'm still in this Baidu. I like Baidu. Breaking out above this level here. I don't have as much as I had before. Tweeted to you right around, I think, 238. I was buying some, added above this 230, and now I sold some, and now we'll see if this can continue. Very strong stock. Love the weekly pattern here. Also bought some calls. Not ready to sell them yet or do a call spread. Let's wait if we can get some more follow through. Let's check out real quickly what BABA looks like. BABA had a great move yesterday. Still hanging in there. Earnings are on Thursday. If this could hang out a little bit more, it can get another move. So even though the markets are trying to flash some kind of topping tail potential, a lot of these stocks are still hanging in there. So you don't have to be all in or all out, but you need to make sure your tier size is conducive to what the market's doing when it gets loose and wide. And with all that said, again, it is only 3:18. There's 40 minutes left. Charts can change, but at this point, it does feel as if they're trying to, the bears are trying to make a little bit of a stance to put in some topping tails, to put in some outside days or not. Remember, some of the sell rules. When you push above a prior high and go, sometimes you add and then it extends, you sell some. If it comes back below that prior high, you reduce because it couldn't hold that momentum level. Then if it goes red, you reduce because now all of a sudden you push through a prior high, came back below it, you have a red dog reversal sell signal, and now when it goes red, you have no idea how low it's going to go. And then once you're out of the way, because you've been out of the way, if it comes below it, takes out a prior day low, then all of a sudden, a push that doesn't hold turns into a red candle, that turns into an outside day, that turns into a day to take notice, that could turn into something more meaningful. That all hasn't happened yet, but that's just the way I think about it, how I adjust my tiers. And with that said, hopefully you had a good day. I will see you at the morning call and Morning Call Express tomorrow. Sorry I had to get out of here a little bit early, but to be honest, we have an 18-person bocce tournament tonight in my neighborhood. We do it once a year. It's all the guys, and I got to get there. The tournament starts at 6. So sometimes life happens. I'll see you tomorrow morning at the Morning Call and the Note. Bye-bye.